Have you ever felt that feeling? You know the one. It's like your whole future is folded up inside a single envelope. You hold your breath, you tear it open, and then, wham! The letters on the page don't spell out the future you were promised. They don't look like the grades your friends got. Suddenly the world feels a little darker, a little heavier. It's a common story, but when it's happening to you, it feels like you're the only person on the planet going through it. The pressure to have the right results can be so intense, it's like trying to breathe underwater. We're told that this one piece of paper decides everything. So many of us are taught to walk in a straight line, go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and be happy. But what if your line isn't straight? What if it's got loop-de-loops and zigzags, and maybe even a few stops for ice cream? We look at our friends who got straight A's and think, I need to be like them. We start trying to copy their path, wear their shoes even though they pinch our feet. This pressure to follow the crowd can be deafening. It can drown out that little voice inside you, the one that's whispering, hey, over here, this is what we really love to do. This is where Sam found himself. The day his exam results came out was a grey day, both outside and inside his heart. The letters and numbers on the page felt like a judgment, a final verdict on his worth. He saw his friends celebrating, posting their high scores online, and planning their university adventures. Sam just wanted to disappear. He felt lost, like he was standing at a crossroads with 100 signs, and none of them were pointing in his direction. He had tried to be the student everyone wanted him to be, but it just wasn't him. The sadness was overwhelming, a heavy blanket he couldn't shake off. And this brings up a huge question, a really important one. Can you ever feel truly successful if you're just chasing someone else's dream? If you get that A+ in a subject you hate, or land a job that makes your soul tired just thinking about it, is that winning? Or is it just pretending? Real deep down, make your heart sing. Success has to come from somewhere else. It has to be personal. It has to be about listening to that quiet, persistent inner voice, even when the rest of the world is shouting. True success can't be found by looking at your neighbor's map. You have to draw your own. Sam's father saw the storm clouds gathering over his son. He didn't see a failure. He saw a young man who had lost his compass. His father, a quiet man who people in their town respectfully called the man with the golden leg, had a wisdom that didn't come from textbooks. One evening, he sat with Sam, not with a lecture, but with a gentle proposal. He handed Sam a small notebook and a pen. I want you to go on a little journey, he said. I want you to meet 3 people I know. Ask them one question. How did you become successful? Just listen to their stories. Don't judge, just listen. Sam was skeptical. What could talking to 3 strangers possibly change? His problem was with grades and exams, with the future he thought he had lost. But the look in his father's eyes was patient and kind. It wasn't a demand, it was an invitation. The first name on the list was a Mr. And, a man who owned a popular sports equipment store. The second was Mr. Thomas, the head chef and owner of the most celebrated restaurant in the city. The last was a Mr. Miguel, a famous lawyer known for being a top student his entire life. Sam reluctantly agreed, feeling that at least it was better than staring at his bedroom ceiling. His father's advice was simple, yet profound. He explained that education isn't just about memorizing facts to pass a test. It's not a competition to see who can collect the most A's. Real education, he said, is about discovery. It's the process of learning who you are, what makes your heart beat faster, what challenges you and what brings you joy. Passing an exam shows you can remember something for a day. Understanding yourself gives you a map for a lifetime. He believed Sam's real education was just beginning, far away from any classroom. So, with the notebook in his backpack and a heavy heart, Sam started his journey. It felt like a strange scavenger hunt, but the prize wasn't clear. He was disconnected from his own passions, unsure of what he even liked anymore. He had spent so many years trying to fit into a mold that he had forgotten his own shape. This task from his father felt like the first step into an unknown world. A world where success wasn't measured by percentages, but by stories, by struggles, and by the courage to listen to that inner voice his father kept talking about. He didn't know it yet, but these 3 conversations would change everything. Sam's first meeting was with Mr. And, a man with a constant spark of energy about him. His store was filled with running shoes, sleek bicycles, and gear for every sport imaginable. Sam, feeling a bit awkward, introduced himself and asked the question his father had given him. "How did you become successful?" Mr. And laughed, a warm, booming sound that filled the shop. "Success? I'll tell you, it had nothing to do with my report card," he began. "In school, I was a disaster. I couldn't sit still. My mind would wander out the window, imagining I was running in the fields behind the school. My teachers said I was a daydreamer with no focus." Mr. And leaned against a counter, his eyes twinkling with the memory. "My only good grade was in physical education. It was the only place I felt alive. While my friends were studying for their math exams, I was running. I ran every morning before sunrise and every evening after sunset. People thought I was crazy. They said, 'You can't make a life out of running.' But it was more than just running to me. It was my meditation, my escape, my joy. It was the only thing that made sense when nothing else did. I learned discipline, endurance, and how to push past pain, not from a book, but from the pavement." He explained that after he finished school with barely passing grades, he felt completely lost, just like Sam. He took a menial job, but his passion for running never faded. He started helping friends train for marathons, giving them advice on shoes and form. He realized he knew more about running gear than anyone he knew. That's when the idea sparked. He saved every penny he earned, took a huge leap of faith, and opened a tiny store with just a few pairs of running shoes. It was terrifying. He had no business degree, no fancy plan, just a deep, unshakable love for running. "My success," Mr. And concluded, looking Sam straight in the eye, "came from not listening to everyone who said I couldn't. It came from listening to my own 2 feet. They told me to keep moving forward, one step at a time. My passion wasn't a distraction from my life. It was my life. I didn't find success by chasing good grades. I found it by chasing what I love. And eventually, that love built all of this." Sam wrote furiously in his notebook, the first glimmer of understanding dawning on him. Success wasn't a formula, it was a feeling. The next day, Sam walked into the Gilded Spoon, the restaurant owned by Mr. Thomas. The air was filled with the incredible smells of garlic, herbs, and, something sweet baking. Mr. Thomas, a large man with flour dusting his apron, greeted Sam with a warm smile and led him to a small table in the corner. When Sam asked his question, Mr. Thomas wiped his hands on his apron and sat down, letting out a soft sigh. "Success is a funny word," he said. "For me, success smells like my grandmother's kitchen. It smells like baking bread and simmering soup. It has nothing to do with the chemistry labs I was forced to sit in at school." Mr. Thomas shared that he too had been a terrible student. His parents had dreams of him becoming a doctor or a scientist. They pushed him into advanced science classes, but his mind was always somewhere else. He would doodle recipes in the margins of his textbooks. He got D's in biology, but could perfectly explain the Maillard reaction that makes a steak so delicious. He told Sam, "I failed my chemistry final, but I could create chemistry on a plate. I could take simple ingredients and turn them into something that made people happy." That felt like real magic to me, much more than anything I learned in a lab. After school, he disappointed his family by refusing to go to university. Instead, he took a job as a dishwasher in a small restaurant. It was hard, thankless work, but he was in his element. He watched the chefs, asked endless questions, and stayed late to practice his knife skills on leftover vegetables. He read every cookbook he could get his hands on. He worked his way up from dishwasher to prep cook to line cook, and finally to a sous chef. His education didn't happen in a lecture hall. It happened over a hot stove, with the clang of pots and pans as his classroom bell. "My parents didn't speak to me for 2 years," Mr. Thomas admitted, his expression turning serious for a moment. "They thought I had thrown my life away. But one day I invited them to the restaurant where I was a chef. I cooked them a meal from my heart. When my father took his first bite, he looked at me, and I saw tears in his eyes. He finally understood. My success isn't about the money or the awards on the wall. It's about this," he said, gesturing to the happy diners in his restaurant. "It's about creating joy. I didn't follow their recipe for my life. I created my own. Sam's final visit was to the office of Mr. Miguel, the renowned lawyer. The office was on the top floor of a skyscraper with a breathtaking view of the city. Everything was sleek, modern, and honestly expensive. Mr. Miguel was perfectly dressed in a sharp suit, and his handshake was firm. He was the picture of success that Sam had always been told to admire. When Sam asked his question, Mr. Miguel's confident smile faltered for just a second. He walked over to the large window and looked out at the city below before he answered, his voice softer than Sam expected. "I did everything right," he began. "I was the top student in every class, from kindergarten all the way through law school," Mr. Miguel said, his back still to Sam. "I collected A-pluses like they were trading cards. I followed the path perfectly. My parents were so proud. I won scholarships, got into the best university, and landed a job at the most prestigious law firm. I checked every single box. On paper, my life is a masterpiece of success. I have the career, the money, the respect. I have everything I was ever told to want." He paused, and the silence in the vast office felt heavy and cold. He turned around, and for the first time, Sam saw a deep-seated weariness in his eyes. "But I'll tell you a secret, Sam. I'm haunted by a ghost. The ghost of a 17-year-old boy who wanted to be a musician. That boy loved the guitar more than anything. He wrote songs. He dreamed of playing in a band, of creating music that could move people. But his parents and his teachers and he himself told him that was a silly, impractical dream. They told him to focus on his studies, on the real path to success. So he put the guitar in its case, and he put the case in the back of a closet. I haven't opened that case in 20 years, Mr. Miguel confessed, his voice barely a whisper. I win cases, I make a lot of money, but I rarely feel joy. My success feels hollow. It's like a beautiful, empty house. Sometimes late at night I can almost hear the music I never made. So, you ask me how I became successful? I became successful by being an excellent student, but I wonder every single day if I failed at being myself. Don't make the same mistake, kid. Don't put your guitar in the closet. Sam left the silent, beautiful office feeling a profound sense of sorrow for the man who had everything and nothing at all. When Sam returned home, his notebook was filled with stories, but his mind was filled with Mr. Miguel's haunting confession. He found his father in the stable behind their house, gently brushing the coat of a beautiful brown horse. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows, and a calm, peaceful feeling hung in the air. Sam sat down on a bale of hay and was quiet for a long time. Finally, he looked at his father and asked, "Why did they call you the man with the golden leg?" His father smiled, patting the horse's neck before turning to face him. "Well," his father began, "like Mr. and Mr. Thomas, I was last in my class. Always. My report cards were a sea of red ink. My only passion was horses. I loved everything about them. I spent all my time here at the stables learning to ride, to care for them. My dream was to be a jockey. I was small, I was fast, and I understood horses better than I understood people." He paused, looking down at his leg. "I was on my way, and I was winning races. And then, one day, there was an accident, a bad one. The doctors saved my leg, but they had to put a lot of metal in it. My racing career was over before it truly began." Sam listened, captivated. He had always known about his father's limp, but he had never heard the full story. "Everyone told me it was a tragedy," his father continued. "They said I had lost everything. For a while I believed them. I was heartbroken. I had lost my dream. But I hadn't lost my passion. I couldn't race horses, but I could still be with them. I knew how to train them, how to heal them when they were sick, how to find the hidden potential in a young colt. My love for horses was deeper than just the thrill of a race. So I started training them for other people. I started a small breeding business. It turned out my golden leg, the one that ended my dream, forced me to find a new one, a better one. I built this life, this business, not because I was a good student, but because I refused to give up on what I loved. My accident taught me that your path can change, but your passion doesn't have to. Real success, Sam, isn't about never falling. It's about what you do after you fall. It's about staying true to your heart, no matter how many times it gets broken or how many detours you have to take. Sam looked from his father to the horses, then down at his notebook filled with the stories of 3 vastly different lives. Mr. And, who ran his way to success, Mr. Thomas, who cooked with love, Mr. Miguel, who had all the success in the world but had lost his song. And now, his own father, a man who had turned a career-ending injury into a life of quiet, profound fulfillment. The pieces of the puzzle clicked into place. The sadness that had been weighing him down for weeks began to lift, replaced by a feeling he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. He finally understood. Success wasn't a one-size-fits-all suit. It wasn't a grade on a page or a degree on a wall. It was a deeply personal journey, unique to every single person. True success was the joy Mr. And felt on a morning run, the happiness Mr. Thomas found in a perfectly cooked meal, and the peace his own father felt in the company of his horses. It was the very thing Mr. Miguel had sacrificed for a life that looked perfect from the outside but felt empty on the inside. His father's lesson was clear. You can only create your own success by following your own real passion. Sam thought about what he loved. He remembered how he used to spend hours taking things apart just to see how they worked. Old radios, broken clocks, his first computer. He loved the logic, the problem solving, the moment of triumph when he put it all back together and it worked again. He had been told it was just a hobby, a distraction from his important schoolwork. But now he saw it differently. It wasn't a distraction, it was a clue. It was his inner voice whispering to him all along. He decided right then and there that he would stop trying to walk someone else's path. He would start building his own. So I want to leave you with this. Don't let a piece of paper define you. Don't let the pressure to be like everyone else silence the music inside you. Your education is not about passing a test. It's about discovering the incredible, unique person you are. What do you love? What makes you feel alive? What is the thing you would do for free, just for the sheer joy of it? Find that thing. That is your compass. That is your true north. Don't be afraid if your path has twists and turns. The most beautiful journeys always do. Start today. Discover what you love, and go create a life that feels as good on the inside as it looks on the outside.